So hey guys, today I will explain HTTP methods and common HTTP response codes from a cybersecurity view. Since HTTP is how many websites communicate, understanding it helps us protect systems and recognize attacks. So first of all, what is HTTP? HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It allows browsers and servers to communicate. HTTP is stateless, meaning each request is separate because almost all websites use HTTP or HTTPS nowadays. It is a common target for cyber attacks. And like speaking as of now, almost every site uses HTTPS, and like they are also using HTTP. Now let's talk about HTTP methods. HTTP methods tell the server what action to perform. From a cybersecurity perspective, allowing too many methods can be dangerous. Attackers often test methods to see what actions they can perform. And some common methods are get, post, put, delete, patch, head, or options. We will discuss them in detail in next slides. Let's first discuss the get and post methods. So in short, you can understand these both methods. Like get will be like we are trying to retrieve or download something from the server. Like server is hosting something and we are trying to download or retrieving something from the server. And post method, let's suppose imagine a postman, and what postman do is it will give you your letter in your mailbox. In this case, you'll be the postman for the server, like you will be sending the data to the server. I hope so I didn't make it confusing. If I made it, you can just read the text. It will be easier maybe for you guys. Now let's talk about their characteristics. Parameters are visible in the URL, making them easy to intercept and log. So in get method, parameters are visible in the URL. For example, let's say example.com and it's like, let's just be like this, and this was a parameter and I searched for test, so it's a get parameter. Okay, so now let's talk about post method. Data transmitted in the request body, offering better confidentiality than get. So in post method, data is transmitted through through or in the request body. We'll see the request body in Bubsuit. I'll be making a video on Bubsuit soon. And now let's talk about their impacts and stuff. So in get method, sensitive data exposure through URL logging. And second is browser history and proxy cache leakage. Session tokens visible in plain text. Some sites still uses session tokens in URL, and which is visible in plain text. Like you can just read it without any techniques, without any decoding or decryption. You can just read it normally. And in post method, SQL injection vulnerabilities through unsanitized input. And cross-site scripting, which is also known as XSS attack vectors. And common injection and file upload exploits. So post method, if any site is using post method unnecessarily, these 3 bugs can be founded on it. So now let's talk about put, delete, and patch. Put, delete, and patch are used to change or remove data. These methods are high risk if security is weak. Without proper control, attackers could modify or delete data. So if we talk specifically about these 3 methods, what put method does is updates or completely replaces existing resources on the server. And delete method which is self-explanatory, permanently removes resources from the server, and patch method performs partial updates to existing resources. So patch method can be seen in edit profile functionality, and put method can. Now let's talk about head and options method. These are reconnaissance tools for hackers. Head and options are often used to gather information. Head retrieves headers only, while option shows which methods are allowed. And by headers only, I meant HTTP headers. Attackers use this information to plan attack. For example, if you use options on a site and it shows like you can use head, put, patch, so you can use only those methods on that site. Like other methods will be blocked by the site. It will give you like HTTP response code. I think it's 405, which is not allowed. It will show you that error in response. And best security practice will be disable unnecessary HTTP methods. At this server level, restrict head and option responses to authenticated users only. Implement rate limiting to prevent automated reconnaissance scans. HTTP response codes security intelligence. Response codes are the server's reply to client requests, organized into 5 classes beyond debugging. They provide crucial intelligence for both attack detection and analysis. So you can say there are 5 types of HTTP response codes, and if it starts from 1 and like 0 0 or 101 or something like this, let's say 1xx, it will be informational category HTTP response code. Request received and continuing response, it will like show you in response like these two things. And 2xx, yeah, it means it can be 200, 201, 202, 204. It will show you action successfully received and accepted. For example, 200 OK is like a very common HTTP response code. And the third one is 3xx. Like the others, it is also 300, 301 and so on. And it is used for redirection. Further action needed to complete request. For example, I was visiting google.com, and when I tried to visit google.com, I was redirected to bing.com. Like I tried searching google.com on my browser, but like bing.com out of nowhere just like open. It is called redirection. Some sites do it, especially the ad showing sites, and if the site is compromised. Now the fourth one is 4xx. It can be 400, 401 and 404, which is HTTP error not found. HTTP response code not found. Request contains bad syntax or cannot be fulfilled. 5xx, it can be 501, 500, 502, 503, and it is related to server errors. Server failed to fulfill valid request. And as I told you guys, let's talk about these 200 and 300 requests. 200 OK. It means request succeeded, the standard response for a successful HTTP request. It is the like normal HTTP response code for the web page. For example, if I searched Google on my browser and it successfully loaded, it means I got HTTP response code 200. And 201 created can be seen in above suit. Request fulfilled, resulting in the creation of a new resource. 301 moved permanently. Resources permanently moved to a new location. Sometimes you can see when the URL is changed to a new domain like URL, or you can say domain. And 302 found resources temporarily located at a different URI. For example, you discovered a hidden directory of a site. For example, there was a example.com which had a slash secret directory, and I just visited it, so I'll get 302 found result, and then I'll be redirected to that different URI. And security alert, 3xx redirection codes can be exploited for open redirection vulnerabilities and session hijack attacks. Always validate redirected destinations and implement strict whitelisting. Now let's talk about client error codes. 4xx codes means the client made a mistake. For example, 400 means bad request. Server cannot process the request due to malformed syntax. 401 means login is required. Or you can say just it unauthorized. Authentication is required and has failed or not been provided. 403 means access is denied. Server understands request but refuses to authorize it because you don't have permission to see or access it. 404 not found. Requested resource could not be found on the server. Maybe it is deleted or maybe it is not accessible to you, and like the security guy programmed it to show you 404 instead of 403 to make you make it look like that the resource is not available, because if an attacker or hacker sees 403, they know it can be bypassed by some means. Like they will try to enumerate and try different techniques to bypass 403 HTTP response code. But when they see 404 not found, some of us assume like there's nothing to nothing to be found here, and just leave that as it is. Now let's talk about cybersecurity. Some values. 4xx codes are invaluable for security monitoring. Brute force attack detection through repeated 401s. For example, your site suddenly getting HTTP response code 401 and a lot of 401. You can tell that your site is getting attacked using brute force method. Access control validation via 403 responses. For example, someone's enumerating directories on your site. You can see a lot of 403s on your site. API enumeration patterns from 404s. Warning: overly detailed error messages can leak sensitive information about system architecture, and sometimes it can lead to further exploitation too. So don't make your error messages overly detailed on the public side. So now let's talk about summary and the last code, 5xx. First one is 500, or you can say 500, which is internal server error. It is generic error when server encounters an unexpected condition. Second is 502, which is bad gateway. Server acting as gateway received invalid response from upstream. 503, service unavailable. Server temporarily unable to handle requests due to overload or maintenance. Security risks. 5xx errors can leak stack traces and configuration details. There are also indicators of denial of service attacks or system instability. To stay secure, systems should limit HTTP method, validate input, and monitor response codes. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in next video.